Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my week number 13 quarterback as well as tight end rankings for the week. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, cool graphics going to fly on the screen right now. Please do so at notorious FNTSY. Today's video is brought to you guys by BetMGM, who we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 13 quarterback plus tight end rankings. We begin with my number one quarterback on the week, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. Last week was a down game for Patrick Mahomes up against the Rams, as he was the quarterback number 12 on the week, but that's about as down as it gets. His worst finish on the year is quarterback number 13, and every other game besides that, he was a top 12 quarterback, currently the QB number 2 on the season. This matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals is basically a wet dream for fantasy football. I think this is going to be an incredibly high scoring game, and I expect Mahomes to be a top 3 quarterback on the week. That's why I have him ranked at number 1. At number 2, we have the other quarterback in this game, Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty of the Cincinnati Bengals, going up against the Chiefs at home in Cincinnati. Last week up against the Atlanta Titans in Tennessee, quarterback number 14, currently the quarterback number 4 on the season. The return of Jamar Chase seems imminent at this point. I do believe at this point that I'm recording this video that he is going to end up playing, which gives Joe Burrow a slight bump. Again, I really do think this is going to be a high-scoring tit-for-tat, back-and-forth affair, and I think Joe Burrow gets it done for fantasy as well. At number 3, we move to Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles, going up against the Atlanta Titans at home in Philadelphia. Last week, quarterback number 2 up against the Packers, currently the quarterback number 3 on the season. This matchup is definitely not as enticing as Mahomes or Joe Burrow's matchup because they're playing up against each other, but I still do think, even if this game isn't as high-scoring, that with the rushing upside that Jalen Hurts possesses, I mean, the motherfucker ran for over 150 yards last week. You gotta rank him inside of the top 3. At number 4, we have Justin Herbert, the pervert of the LA Chargers, going up against the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. He is currently the quarterback number 9 on the season and ranked number 3 last week up against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. The Raiders defense is as soft as baby shit, and I fully expect Justin Herbert, the pervert, to take full advantage of that. Next up, we move to Dickie Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys, going up against the Indianapolis Colts in prime time on Sunday Night Football. Last week, Dak was the quarterback number 17 on Thanksgiving up against the Giants, mainly because he threw 2 dumb interceptions. Ever since Dak has came back from his injury, he has been a relatively solid quarterback for fantasy football. This matchup up against the Colts is relatively solid. I think Dak gets it done decently here. I don't really expect a smash game out of Dak, but he should finish as a top 8-ish guy. So I think number 5, because he's playing the Colts, is pretty fair. At number 6, we have touchdown Jesus Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars, going up against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. This is another one of those games that I really think could be a very high-scoring affair. Quarterback 5, 8-12 in his last 3 outings, and this week he gets one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Detroit Lions that just got picked apart by Josh Allen. Now, obviously, Josh Allen is on a completely different fucking stratosphere compared to Trevor Lawrence, but Lawrence really showed out last week up against the Ravens defense, and the Detroit Lions defense is significantly worse than them, so I expect a solid showing out of Lawrence. At number 7, we have the chef, Geno Smith of the Seattle Seahawks, going up against the LA Rams in LA, back-to-back games as quarterback number 11, currently the quarterback 7 on the season. The LA Rams season is down in the fucking dumps. It's in the gutter. Their season is over, and I think that Geno Smith dances on the metaphorical grave of the LA Rams. The problem is this game doesn't really have any chance of being a high-scoring back-and-forth affair. Like, maybe Seattle, again, just shits on the chest of the LA Rams. Give them a nice Cleveland steamer. But I don't think John Wolford, woof woof, he's a dog, I don't think he's going to really be able to fight back into this game. So I think this is going to be one of those where the other team just gets destroyed. Geno plays decent, but probably can't win you your week because the Rams won't be able to push him to that really high-scoring game. At number 8, closing out the top 8, we got my guy Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins going up against the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. The 49ers have the best defense in the NFL, in my opinion, so I do not expect Tua to just absolutely fucking backhand them like Will Smith backhanded Chris Rock. I fully do not expect that to happen, but I do think Tua's still going to play decent in this game. I think Mike McDaniel is going to dial up plays that are positive for Tua, even with the tough defense that he's going up against. It was tough to rank Tua because I'm not as confident this week in him as I was prior. Next up, we move to quarterback number 9, Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears going up against the Packers. This is obviously assuming Justin Fields plays. If Fields does not play, then guess what? You don't want to fucking start him. Over his last 3 games, quarterback 7-1-1. 7-11, the convenience store. Quarterback 6 on the season, despite missing last week up against the New York Jumbo Jets. Justin Fields' rushing upside is immense. Now, the injury might handicap him. It might hamper him. He might not have a great game. But again, when you have a guy like Justin Fields with all this upside in a game that could be interesting against the Packers, you gotta fucking start him. At number 10, we have Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns going up against the Houston Texans in Houston in his comeback game. And I probably shouldn't have said come space back like that because of what happened with Deshaun Watson. But at the end of the day here, going up against the Houston Texans, a soft as baby shit defense, the only worry is that Deshaun Watson just eviscerates the Houston Texans in the first half, and then they just run the ball with 9-inch Nicholas Chubb through the second half of the game, and then Deshaun doesn't really touch the ball all that much. Well, obviously he touches the ball on every play on offense, but I'm saying he doesn't throw the ball as much. He also has some rushing upside, not a lot. I think this should be a good game for him, but I think some people are being a little too nervous when it comes to Watson. At number 11, we got Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Denver Broncos at home in Baltimore. The season started off on fucking fire, catching fire like that Hunger Games movie/book. Quarterback 8-1-1 over the first 3 games. Then after that, it was a bit of a disaster. 19-15, 11-22. Recently, 9-10, 15-8. So he's been decent. The Broncos defense is really good, though, so it's hard for me to rank Lamar Jackson super high this week. At number 12, we have the old man himself, Tampa Bay Tom Brady of the Bucs going up against the New Orleans Saints at home in Tampa Bay. Now, to start off the year again, this was the exact opposite of Lamar Jackson. Tom Brady bent your team over and fucking sodomized it 50 Shades of Grey style. Quarterback 26, 28, and 20. Recently, he's picked things up and looked a lot better. The Saints defense isn't really all that great, so I think Tom Brady should have a solid game here. But at this point in the season, we can't expect Tom Brady to do much better than like quarterback 8. So that's why he's quarterback 12. At number 13, we have the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, Derek Carr, going up against the LA Chargers at home in Viva Las Vegas. Quarterback 10 in both of the last 2 games, quarterback 15 on the season. Again, I really do think this is going to be one of those high-scoring matchups on the week. The Chargers defense does not put any ounce of fear in me. The only fear I have for Derek Carr is the fact that his head coach is such a fucking buffoon. But besides that, should be all good, right? Should be all good. At number 14, we have Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Pornstar, quarterback of the 49ers, going up against the Miami Dolphins at home in San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo, I say this every single fucking week, so I might sound like a broken record at this point, but this guy is the definition of safety. He's like wrapping 2 condoms over your fantasy football roster. Now, he's more than likely never going to win you your week. He's never going to really put your team on his fucking back. He did against Arizona in week 11 in Mexico City, but I highly doubt that is going to happen again. He's just one of those guys you play. He does decent, finishes like quarterback 12 through 18. Never really wins your week, but never really screws the pooch and fucks your team directly in the asshole. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a fine start this week again. Not banging the drum for him, but I'm also not saying that he's a bad start this week. At number 15, we have Magic Mike White, the stripper of the Jets, going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Mike White absolutely balled on the Chicago Bears. 3 tutties, quarterback 6 on the week. The Minnesota Vikings defense sucks absolute donkey peen at defending the pass, so I think we could see another Mike White performance here. If he starts off slow, though, I would worry that maybe he collapses a little bit, but again, the Vikings defense is hot trash against the pass, so I'm still a big fan of Mike White. But again, even while I'm being a big fan of him, while I like him this week, it's hard to rank him much higher than where I got him. But before we move on into the rest of the quarterbacks, then we dive in like Michael Phelps on the tight ends, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you have ended up enjoying thus far, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Now, I would also like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor over at BetMGM. Now, if you're a brand new user to BetMGM and click on the link in the video description or in the pinned comment, they have a great offer for you that expires tomorrow on Sunday, so make sure you take advantage of it right now. If you bet $10 on any pre-game World Cup money line, you will receive $200 in free bets if a goal is scored during the World Cup, which is guaranteed to happen. So I'm going to throw it on the screen right now. You're going to pick whatever game you want. You can pick your favorite team, the team you want to win, or you can just pick whatever you want, the biggest favorite, like I'm going to. You bet $10 on that. Your bet could lose. It could be a draw, but there's guaranteed to be another goal in the World Cup, so you will receive your $200 in free bets. So make sure you take advantage of it right now before it disappears, because again, it's literally disappearing tomorrow. So get it while it's hot. Now we move to quarterback number 16, the other quarterback in this game, Kirk Cousins, Kirko Chains, Kirk Cousins. I read that Kirk Cousins is now going to get a grill, and I'm not talking about like a fucking George Foreman. I'm talking about the grill on his teeth. It's going to be hilarious to see him look like that going up against the Jumbo Jets, a pretty solid defense. But again, Kirk Cousins is a lot like Jimmy Guap. Jimmy Garoppolo just has a better matchup. There are these quarterbacks that you play every week. You don't really expect them to take you over the top, but you also don't expect them to screw the pooch and kind of flip your team upside down and fuck them over, right? So I think Kirk Cousins is a fine start this week, but the matchup obviously is far from ideal. At quarterback 17, we have the goof, Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions going up against the Jaguars at home in Detroit. Jared Goff really hasn't been all that great recently. You can kind of put him in the same range. He's like a Walmart version of Kirk Cousins. So he's not great. It's a good matchup, though. And in good matchups, Goff can get it done. That's just kind of how I think about him. At number 18, we have Marcus Mariota of the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home in Atlanta. Now, Mariota is another one of these guys that's just super safe. He's going to finish inside the top 18. He's probably never going to be a top 5 guy unless everything goes right. He's going up against the Steelers, who have a tough defense. So if he was in a softer matchup, I would be more in favor of Marcus Mariota. But this matchup is tough as nails, so I don't really expect a huge one out of him. At number 19, we have Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check. Last week, shits the bed against the Eagles, but not really because he ended up getting hurt in that game. Prior to that, quarterback 13, 10, 13, and 20. Quarterback 14 on the season. The issue is not the matchup. The matchup is amazing up against the Bears, and he is the owner of the Bears. At least that's what he says. The issue is not anything to do with the matchup. It's him. He's going into the game with a fucked up rib, a fucked up thumb. Look, like, again, I like the matchup. I like everything, but do you really want to roll out this version of Aaron Rodgers? Like, do you really have full confidence in him? For me, the answer is fuck no, baby. At number 20, we got Kenny Pickett of the Steelers going up against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. He parked in downtown Atlanta. If you guys are on TikTok, you would have heard that sound. Kenny Pickett up against Atlanta in Atlanta. Small hands, Pickett has been relatively decent this year. Again, nothing special. This is a good matchup, but do I really see him doing much better than quarterback like 20? Probably not. At number 21, we got Daniel Jones. Can you do something for me? Going up against the Commanders at home in MetLife. Did you guys see that apparently the Jets in 2026 might move to the Bronx and get out of MetLife? Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So at number 12, or not at number 12, because he's number 21. Last week up against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Pretty mediocre performance out of Sir Daniel Dimes. Quarterback number 20. The matchup against the Commanders isn't really all that good. Doesn't spark my interest. The Commanders' defense has been playing really good recently. This game reeks of being a fucking snooze fest, low-scoring game, so I'm kind of out on Daniel Jones. At number 22, we got Ryan Tannehill of the Atlanta Titans going up against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. This matchup just fucking reeks of Tannehill absolutely throwing like 3 fucking interceptions, so I'm kind of scared of Tannehill in this one. At 23, we got Heineke. Again, I like Heineke the player. He's interesting. He does all these fun things. He's like Mahomes, but like he thinks he's Mahomes, but he's not Mahomes. Like, he doesn't have the ability of Mahomes, but he does all the crazy shit that Mahomes does, but it just doesn't result most of the time in something positive. Whereas, like, if Mahomes was to break a tackle, fucking do a 360, like he's jumping off the top of Rust and MW2, fucking spinning around, jumping left, right, fucking closing his eyes, closing one eye, blind throw, sidearm. Like, if Mahomes did that, it's a completion. But if Heineke does that, it's a fucking pick six, but he still likes to do it. It's fun. It's very fun to watch, but not the greatest for your fantasy team. Again, I think this game reeks. You smell that? It smells like a fucking low-scoring game. At number 24, we got Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited of the Denver Broncos. This fuck is so bad. So fucking bad that last week against the Panthers, there are 32 quarterbacks that start in the NFL. This motherfucker was quarterback 33. This man lives in such a big mansion that he has more bathrooms in his house than more touchdowns that he has thrown in the NFL this year. This guy is the definition of a fuckface. I can't stand this guy. I can't stand Russell Wilson. Every week, Mr. Unlimited goes out there and you're like, this is finally the week. This is the week things change. And it never fucking changes. It never changes. And I'm sorry about yelling. I'll turn the volume down a little bit, but I'm sorry. But I'm sick of this bastard. Fuck you, Russell Wilson. Now we move to the tight end position, beginning with, you guessed it, Travis Kelce. Now, Travis Kelce told an excellent story on his podcast this week with Patrick Mahomes. No free ads for them, though. They don't pay me. About how the first time ever when Patrick Mahomes got drafted, he was actually late to practice, had to pay a hefty fine, and the coach asked him if he was with Kelce, and he wasn't. Kelce was out doing some crazy things. Very interesting story. I didn't tell it correctly, so that was pretty useless information. But you know what's useful information? Travis Kelce being the number 1 tight end on the week. Why? Because he's a top fucking 3 tight end every week. You don't need a crazy breakdown on that. At number 2, we have Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Denver Broncos at home in Baltimore. Mark Andrews has kind of, like Humpty Dumpty, fallen off the bit of a wall recently. Tight end 11-7 over the last 2 games. Again, very reliable. You're going to keep rolling him out. But I'm not as confident in him, but at the same time, right, there's only a couple of tight ends that you can really trust, and Andrews is one of them. At number 3, we got George Kittle Me Timbers of the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Miami Dolphins at home in San Fran. The Dolphins, notoriously bad, notorious up against the tight end position. Kittle, down game in New Orleans, big game up against Arizona in Mexico. He's either been a top 10 tight end or outside the top 20 every game. Kind of hit or miss, but again, he's one of those, that cupping of tight ends that's really good. At number 4, we have Mr. Muth, Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Freiermuth has been relatively safe in terms of just getting a ass load of targets game in and game out. 4, 12, 7, 7, and 9 over the last 5 games. Gets an easy matchup against Atlanta. Just a safe tight end to play weekly. At number 5, we have the Viking himself, TJ Hawkinson of the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Jumbo Jets at home in Minnesota. I need to get better at doing a bunch of accents. The only one I can really do is Borat, but I need to learn how to do a bunch of other impersonations. I always try to do the Jerry Jones, but I end up sounding like Bill Clinton. So I need to hop in the lab in the offseason and learn to do some more accents. My girlfriend loves those. She's sitting behind me right now as I'm recording this, and I know she loves them. So we're going to go with the Vikings versus the Jets here. TJ Hawkinson, relatively exciting. Tight end 6, 14, and 10 in the last 3 games out. Again, this isn't the most ideal matchup, but to be honest, once you get after Kelce, Andrews, Kittle, it starts to fall off a little bit. At number 6, we got Dalton Schultz of the Dallas Cowboys. 2 tutties last week up against the New York Football Giants. Tight end 1 last week, tight end 21, and then tight end 3 the week prior. With Dak Prescott under center, you know the upside's there for Dalton Schultz, and the matchup against Indy is pretty solid. At number 7, we got Foster Moreau of the Turn Your Volume Down, the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the LA Chargers. Tight end 9, 20, and 5 over the last 3 games. Wet dream matchup against the Chargers. Again, all these guys are so similar. Like, not Schultz and Hawkinson are kind of, and Freiermuth are kind of in a tier of their own. So it's like tier 1 would be Kelce, Andrews, Kittle. Tier 2 would be Freiermuth, Hawkinson, Schultz. And then after that, it's kind of like a hellhole here. Like, Moreau's pretty good. But, like, if you said, Nick, I want to start Everett over Moreau, I'm not going to have some crazy fucking argument with you, right? like Everett, he's on a good team. Hopefully, the Raiders defense sucks ass. Should be a fun one. Last week, 4 for 4, like he was at Wendy's for 18 yards against Arizona. Mike Williams not going to play again, so there is some targets open for him. So I just expect him to be all right. At number 9, we got Hayden Hurst of the Bengals going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Ja'Marr Chase should be back, which hurts Hayden Hurst, but it also at the same time might help him because now they're going to be able to move the ball more efficiently towards the red zone where Hayden Hurst gets his day in the end zone, scoring a fucking touchdown. The motherfucker hasn't scored since week 5, though. Important to note, but should be a high-scoring game. At number 10, we got Tyler Higbee of the LA Rams going up against the Seattle Seahawks. 8 targets, 4 receptions, 45 yards, tight end 10 last week. He's just going to keep getting volume. Their whole team is fucking hurt. John Walford isn't exciting, though, but the matchup's decent against Seattle. At number 11, we have my guy Cole Kmet of the Chicago Bears going up against the Packers at home in Chicago. Once Fields has been missing, Cole Kmet has also kind of went missing himself. You can't see him. John Cena. This week, Justin Fields should be back, so I'm pretty much back on the train with Kmet. At number 12, we have Greg Dulcich. 3 games starting off his career on fire, weeks 6 through 8, and then weeks 10 through 12 were a different story. Keeps getting some targets. Problem is Mr. Unlimited sucks. At number 13, we have Tyler Conklin of the Jets going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. With Magic Mike White under center, I'm a lot more confident in Tyler Conklin's ability when compared to Zach Wilson because that guy's a fucking bum. But again, with Cool Joe Flacco, the upside of Conklin was at its peak. At number 14, we have Eazy-E Evan Ingram of the Jaguars going up against the Lions. This guy is literally, I've talked about this in the DFS video, the contenders for DraftKings and FanDuel. Evan Ingram is the definition of boom or bust. You go in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, which I think is the main dictionary. At least that's the one I had when I was a kid. And you go on there and you look up bust. Not boom or bust. Sorry, not bust. Boom or bust. And then you'll see a picture of Evan Ingram. If you look up bust, then you'll see a picture of Zach Wilson. So last week, tight end 50, but he's had games as tight end 4, 9, 8, 14 interspliced in the season. Wet dream matchup against the Lions. Again, just a risky player. Number 15, we got Jawan Johnson, Double J. Double J, I prefer the double D's, going up against the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Tight end 59 last week, but the 3 weeks prior, he scored 1 touchdown in at least every single game. Prior to that, in a stretch of 5 games, he scored 5 total touchdowns. Quick maths. Call me, what's that guy's name? Big Shock, the one and only. Tight end 9 on the season. Been pretty solid. The problem is Jameis Winston just sucks. Not Jameis Winston. Andy Dalton sucks. Jameis is my guy. Shouldn't have besmirched Jameis's name. Number 16, we got Noah Fant of the Seahawks going up against the Rams in LA. Tight end 22, 18, and 6 over the last 3 games. Geno Smith loves to throw the ball to the tight end. I mean, who doesn't love a nice tight end? But ultimately, Noah Fant. They also have Will Dissly. It's just a shitty situation to be in. Now we move to the point where, like, these top 16 guys, like, I can see myself starting them. If you have to start one of these guys, I apologize to you because this is where shit really falls off the edge of the earth. Like, when Columbus was sailing and he was like, dude, the end of the earth, if I go over there, I'm falling off the edge of the earth. That's what I feel like if I have to play any of these guys. This is tough. Tough. All right. So, last week against Taysom Hill. Sorry. I always forget that there's, like, people listening on podcasts with their ears, and if I don't say the guy's name, even though it's very clear in the video that we've transitioned to number 17, Taysom Hill, that there's also people who listen, so we gotta make sure we talk about it. So at number 17, we got Taysom Hill. Really hasn't done shit outside of week 5, week 1, where he played really good. The upside's there, like, he's getting opportunity, but you really need, like, multiple touchdowns for Taysom Hill to be worth it. At number 18, we got Big Bob Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers going up against Chicago in Chicago. Tonyan has been pretty ass this year, let's be honest. He's had 2 decent games outside of that. Tight end 27, 25, 37, 20, 22, 21. Over the last 6 games, that's just not good. Bears defense isn't good either. If he scores, you'll be happy. He's only scored 1 touchdown in the season, though, so it's hard to bet on it. At number 19, we got Logan Thomas of the Commanders going up against the Giants in MetLife. Did have a bit of a spark up against Houston, but who doesn't spark against Houston because their defense is dick cheese. Tight end 8 in that game, tight end 48 after that. You're at the mercy of Taylor Heineke. And yeah, it's just not fun with Logan Thomas. At number 20, we got my guy Mike Licky Amagasicki, tight end of the Dolphins, going up against the Niners in San Francisco. He needs a touchdown to be useful. The only time he's ever finished inside of top 10 this season is when he scored a touchdown. He's not a target hog. He gets like 3 targets a game, 4 targets a game. If he scores, you'll be happy. If he doesn't, he's probably going to score like a point. Next up, we move to number 21, Austin Hooper of the Les Titans, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. Now, I spoke on this last week. In week number 11, this guy ripped the Packers defense a brand new asshole. 2 touchdowns. But I said last week, hey, slow your fucking roll, pal. Don't just roll Austin Hooper out there assuming he's going to fucking explode and have another big game, because the only time he scored a touchdown was in week 11. And outside of that, he hasn't done shit. So I told you guys to be careful. Be cautious. Don't be silly, wrap your willy. And he didn't do anything, like I predicted. At number 22, we have Jordan Akins of the Houston Texans going up against the Browns. This dude got fucking lit up like a Christmas tree by the Dolphins defense. Fumbled the ball. I think it was Akins, unless it was one of the other tight ends that they have. Scored a touchdown, though, in the game. Again, in this range, you're just praying to the football gods above. Gotta light some fucking candles, light a vigil that they score a touchdown, because otherwise you are fucked. Number 23, we got Will Dissly. Again, Geno Smith loves those tight ends. Problem is, Noah Fant's been more the tight end. And at number 24, we got Harrison Bryant, because David Njoku seems like he's going to, or he is out again, which sucks. Njoku's a very talented player. Bryant fits in that role, but we don't know how much Deshaun likes to utilize the tight end position on the football field. So let's just be a little cautious with Harrison Bryant. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you smash that fucking like button. Smash the subscribe button like it owes you money. I love you guys all so much. Sadly, the US of A lost today, so that sucks. But you want to get free money? Check out BetMGM. Bet $10 on any World Cup pregame money line. You receive $200 in free bets, as long as another goal is scored in the World Cup, which is guaranteed to happen. So make sure you guys check that out. I love you guys all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on Sunday for Sunday Q&A in the morning. The live streams are the funnest thing that I do. It's so fun to talk to you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' Saturday. Fins up, baby. Fuck the 49ers. Goodbye.